Welcome back. My name is Jacob McDonald. I'm Anything Cross, and this is a game that never sits still. Today, we are going to be talking about week 1, and we're going to be doing a recap of that. This will be a regular thing. This is going to be Monday's show from now on. We're going to always do a recap until the end of the season. And what a week it was to start the show. I'm telling you that right now. Wow. You couldn't ask for a better opening game, I'll tell you that. You know, if you like high-scoring games, maybe it wasn't for you. But I can tell you, if you're looking at something that could just be, an amazing lacrosse game, goaltending battle, massive saves, big goals, the rookies showing up. Just, you couldn't really have asked it for more than that. Sold out crowd by Oshawa. Fantastic job by those guys. I'll tell you that right now. That crowd was bumping. I heard a couple guys that I know in my Discord were out at that game and they were pumped. So anyway, we'll go into those games. Obviously, a lot more here. I want to shout out the jersey contest was won by a fan in Halifax, and he gave it to his buddy. So Jesse on Hockey, he runs another fan page, The Bird's Nest, and it's a Halifax Thunderbirds dedicated channel and dedicated page. So go check it out. But the guy, he was the one that brought in the most people, so he got the most bonus entries, and he's the one that won. So I don't think this will be my last jersey contest. Definitely going to do something, in the end of the season. I've got some ideas. We'll put a pin in that for now. But Jesse will be getting his jersey next week at the game. I'm going down for the home opener in Halifax, and I think it would be a great time to just give it to him and get a picture and all that stuff. So super pumped that it went to a great fan like Jesse. It's still growing. Next, we did our fantasy league draft. And I got news for you guys. We did 2 10-team leagues. I hope for it to be bigger next year. Definitely, it's a learning experience. I'm hoping that I'll be able by next year get an actual app going. But for this year, we're gonna do it old school on Google Sheets. Old school. Wow, that sounds real old of me saying that. But anyway, Google Sheet, and I'll just keep track and post the standings in the Discord every week. So anyway, it was an exciting time. Definitely. To run 2 leagues by myself was next to impossible. I have learned that, especially, also I have a job, because it was kind of, by no one's fault but my own probably. I waited a bit too long to get it in, but at the end of the day, I just threw together this not too long ago and had this idea. I've got a lot of other things on the go as well. Just with the lacrosse stuff, this is a full-time job. Again, I always like to say this isn't hard work, but it is time consuming. I enjoy it. It's talking about something I really love now, and anything I can add to the communities. It was a fun draft. I think a lot of other people had fun. It was just kind of, trying to get everyone together and trying to, with time zones and all that stuff. So I've learned lessons. I think next time I might try to mix it up by what kind of are you in, which time zone you're in. Try to put people that are in the same time zones in the same leagues together, and definitely have somebody that help me run it as well, which is where I want to say shout out to Brad Taz in my Discord. Without that guy, I couldn't have ran it. Another one, Robert Simpson, was another guy who had some really good suggestions, and he's I'm open to suggestions in this stuff. We'll see how it goes, but I'm excited for it. I'm glad that I could bring something unique to the lacrosse community, and we'll keep, hopefully, like I said, next year, hopefully it's bigger, and I'm sure there's going to be some hiccups this year, but as far as right now, it's going to be a fun season, and I am pumped. So I just want to shout out my merch store. I don't have any sponsors on this podcast. I don't know if I'm going to take any either, to be honest with you, but I always like to shout out my own merch store, so no pressure at all. Any likes and comments you guys share here is enough, but we do have hoodies, shirts, and hats in there. Check them out. Here's one I'm wearing currently. My hoodies are really nice. I try to keep everything super affordable for you guys. And as my cost goes down, the products will hopefully as well go down. With that being said, let's get right into the week 1 of the NLL. It's officially in the books now, and we had a big week. Friday night was awesome. Saturday was great too. Friday night, I don't think there was a much better game you could have asked for other than a fight. That's the only thing that was kind of missing in that game. The new replay system, I think, is a really good idea. I liked it, even though, obviously it's game-changing for sure, but I think it is in a good way, because I'd prefer prefer to every goal to be looked at, and if there's a question, they can relook at it, rather than they have to make a call on the on the playing surface, and it doesn't end up being the right call. I think this is the way to go. I think the league does a really good job with that. So I do like this rule, and we'll talk about it here in a minute. So game one of the weekend was on Friday night between Toronto and Oshawa. This was Oshawa's home opener ever, right? So this was their first inaugural game, first inaugural season, couple hometown boys, which again, I'm a fan of. I know obviously it's maybe not the best way to grow the game. I completely understand that, but I love when I see a guy that is passionate about playing for their hometown. So they got a couple of them on there. Really cool. Obviously, very tight, defensive, low scoring game. Like I said, goalies stood on their head. Jameson, we'll be talking about that in a minute, but Jameson played fantastic. Rose, I'm telling you right now, the Toronto fans in lacrosse are not too far off different than the ones in hockey. Rose had a great game. I'm going to say that. Did he let in a couple weaker goals, I'm going to say? Yes. But did he have some absolutely amazing highs? Yes. There was this one play that he stole 2 goals, and I said, oh, it could be the save of the season. And I can tell you right now, a lot of people didn't agree with that, but I can tell you that was a save of the weekend, and I stand by that. So interesting there. But with that being said, with Nick Rose, Jameson really stole that show. He showed that he's an elite level goalie. And that's what I said about him. He is really a top tier. And, I think that he's a little bit better than I even thought he was. To mix him in with those other guys. And actually, this is what Jake said on my last podcast. He puts Jameson kind of in that next tier up, possibly. There's only a few goalies in the league that actually won a championship. So until he gets there, he's probably considered, a little bit lower tiered than, maybe Ward or Vince is. But, it's still just, that was an amazing performance. And I think we're going to see big things out of this Oshawa team if Jameson can play like that every night. So Toronto did end up pushing late, but obviously just couldn't, get through him enough. And it was just one of those back and forth for most of the nights until Oshawa really took off. That one goal that got called back on, I think it was CJ Kirst that scored the first one there, or I don't know if it was the first one, but anyway, the one goal where he was on the line, he was so close to that line. It was a big toe, one shoe size smaller, and that would have counted. Which again, at the end of the day though, because it has to be black and white, the ruling, I do like that call. I will say that. Did it affect the goaltending? No, I don't think so. But at the end of the day, realistically, his foot was in the crease technically, and that was enough in order to call it back. And I think that's the right call because when they reviewed it from all those different camera angles, they seen his foot was in it. Now, to me, it did look kind of like it was out, but it depended on the angle you looked at it. So I'm not going to take that away from those guys. I think they made the right call. And when you look back at the game, one goal would have sent everything to overtime. And who knows if we would have been in the same position, right? So, way to go to both teams for putting on the performance they've had because it was an amazing game to watch as a fan. These English brothers, Ty and Sam, from what I've seen in the summer, they are just phenomenal players. And this is going to be interesting to see them when Ty gets up here too. So Toronto is, I was like, oh, I thought they should have picked up a defenseman 3rd overall this year, but I can tell you, I think they already have, between Sam and Ty, they're going to have their long-term defenseman for a long time going forward here. So in the first quarter, it was a 1-1 game, very tight. Jameson played amazing. Rose played amazing. Rose had the save of the weekend, in my opinion. Might even be one of the saves of the year. We'll see what happens. I know I got some hate on for that one, but I thought that was an amazing series of saves he had there during that one segment. You had quarter 2, you had Oshawa outscoring Toronto 3-2, and then in quarter 3, Toronto went up 2-0. In that quarter, Oshawa getting shut down. But finally, in the fourth quarter, everybody really opened up. Oshawa really opened up their firepower, and it went 4-2, 4 goals for them in the fourth quarter. 55 shots on net. Oshawa had 40. Faceoffs were 7-19 for Toronto and 12-19 for Oshawa. Power plays were 1 for 2 for Toronto, and Oshawa had 0 for 2. Toronto had 6 penalty minutes. Oshawa had 4. And for each guy, we had 2 goals for CJ Kirst and 2 goals for Alex Simmons. You had 3 assists for Mark Matthews, which is he's a big playmaker out there for them this year. We had 4 assists for Alex Simmons, so he had 6 points altogether. You also had CJ Kirst getting 4 points. So, a lot of people were talking about Owen Hiltz in the preseason, which he had an amazing preseason. But CJ Kirst really showed in this game 1 that he is number 1 pick for a reason, right? Penalty minutes, just a couple for each team. No big deal. Alex Simmons got 2 and Brad Cree got 2. So there's a couple minors in there. You had shots on goals, 8 for CJ Kirst and 9 for Alex Simmons. Loose ball pickups, Sam English with 11, massive for a rookie. And that's an underrated stat. I always say that. You had Will Johansson with 10. Turnovers caused, you had 4 with Sam English, and then two with Jackson Nishimura for Oshawa. And then you had 32 saves for Nick Rose with 8 goals allowed, and 48 saves with Doug Jamieson with 7 goals allowed. Doug Jamieson was fantastic this game. I'm going to tell you that right now. It was insane. I couldn't, just absolutely insane. So obviously, CJ Kirst stood out in this game. CJ Kirst had 2 goals, 2 assists. Owen Hiltz also had 2 goals, so no slouch there. He was amazing too. The rookie class was just fantastic. Sam English had a goal as well. He had quite the night, honestly. So Sam English had an assist, but massive game by him. He was not shy out there. On the Oshawa side, you had Kurtz with a goal and 2 assists. You had Alex Simmons with 2 goals, 4 assists, like I talked about before. You had Clark with a goal. You had Ethan Walker with 2 goals. Jackson Fridge looked good out there as well. Dyson had a goal and an assist. Overall, pretty good game and a lot of chances. But like I said, this could have been a lot worse for either team if they would have had to, if they didn't have the goaltending that each team had, that would have been a lot worse for them. So yeah, and another thing too, Doug Jamieson had an .863 save percentage, and Nick Rose had a 829. So I mean, again, how much more do you want out of a guy, right? Like you can't really expect too much more than that out of a guy. Like that's a pretty good night for either goalie, right? Then you have the next game. You have the Black Bears versus San Diego Seals. San Diego beat them 16-13. San Diego came out hot, 5 goals in a row to start the game to their 0. Higgins looked rough to start. He looked a little nervous. Same as the team in general. They just couldn't get anything going. Seals came out strong. That small pickup. Again, I've said this a few times, but I'm going to keep giving him praises. What a pickup for them, man. What a pickup. What a great little player he is. Yeah, Ottawa did a good job. They did end up doing a good job. The second, third, and fourth quarter, I found, were a lot better, but it was just too little too late in order to actually think you were going to, to give them a chance, essentially. But here's the breakdown. In quarter 1, you had San Diego score 3. Then they scored 2 more in quarter 2. They scored 4 total. But Ottawa, this is where they decided to wake up, and they also put 4 on the board, that thing. So that was a 7-4 going into half. Then you had 2 goals apiece in the third quarter, and then 7 goals apiece in the fourth and final quarter. So as you can see, like I said, it was that first quarter that really cost them, and that first 5-goal run cost them the game. So I think Ottawa could have beat these guys. I just think that they just didn't get going and they weren't ready to play, and that's just unacceptable in this league. You have to be ready to play at the start of the game. You cannot let that happen, Ottawa. You're better than that, and I can see, I could definitely see Ottawa still be having a good season, but it's a tight league, and one loss like this could cost them the playoffs. We might be talking about this again come the end of the season. If they miss the playoffs by 1 game, this one quarter could essentially cost them the playoffs. So again, you don't really want to think that way as a team. Don't get me wrong, especially being the first quarter of the season or the first opening, whatever it was, 20 minutes of the game. But at the end of the day, that's just realistically, that is how it could go depending on how the season all plays out. So we'll have to wait and see for that. And I'm still pretty high on Ottawa. I was impressed by how they played, and it's just a matter of time for them to get in there and just don't get walked all over. And it's going to be a hard game next time. So we'll see them when they come back, and I'm excited to watch them. But so we've got 5 goals by Trey Leclaire, but in San Diego. What a fantastic game he had. Like, that kid was all over the place. For Oshawa, you had Robert Hellier with a hat trick and also 5 assists for him, so 8 points total. Huge addition bringing him into Ottawa, so massive. Him and Teat, between the two of them, they had 40% of the possession of the touches for Ottawa. These depth scorers and the depth guys need to step in there, and they need to give these guys an extra hand. Thank God Teat has Hellier this year, but the rest of that offense needs to figure out how they're going to help contribute, because if it's 2 guys that have to do all the heavy lifting, it's going to be a hard season for them. So, or harder on those guys at least, and the team and all that kind of stuff. So you got to be better. That's just the truth of it. You got 8 points for Leclaire for San Diego and 8 points for Hellier. Jeff Teat had 15 shots on net, which that's what happens when you carry the load of the team on your backs. Loose balls. Zach Currier with 18, and you had Callum Jones with 10. And there's some people are calling out, I think it was Jake that called out Zach Currier as Defensive Player of the Year. And I could honestly possibly see that being a real possibility. The way he played, he was fantastic out there, looked great. And like I said, 18 loose balls in one game is absolutely ridiculous. Goals allowed, you have 13, but O'Reilly, which honestly, I thought he played really, really good, to be honest with you. And 13 goals isn't too bad. Zach Higgins at 14. Higgins had a rough start, and I think that if they would have came out stronger and he would have came out stronger, they would have had a much better chance of winning this game. Then you had O'Reilly with 37 saves and 40 saves with Jack Higgins. Higgins overall, I thought was honestly really, really solid. Obviously, the big guys you had for the Seals here, you had Noah Armitage also getting 4 points, 2 goals, 2 assists. Dylan Watson with 2 goals, 3 assists. And Connor Robertson with a goal and 3 assists. And then Ottawa, you got Riley O'Connor with 2 goals, 4 assists. You got Robert Hellier with 8 points, like we already talked about. I'm just kind of go over the standouts here. Jeff Teat with 4 points, 15 shots on net. That's crazy. Larson Sundown with 3 points, a goal and 2 assists. Connor Kiernan with 2 goals. They got some different guys in there, but I can tell you right now that basically really who's carrying the offense there are 2 guys, and that's not enough. Riley O'Connor, I will give it to him. He got 6 points. That's pretty impressive too, to be honest with you. But they do need more depth scoring. They can't be having 3-4 guys get the only guys get goals on their team. It's just not going to work for a long season. I'm high on these guys, don't get me wrong, but they do need to have a little bit better in their depth scoring department by far here. Yeah, sorry, I don't know if I mentioned this, but Corey Small had 3 goals on assists as well. And Westberg had a goal and 4 assists. I'm not sure if I talked about them in the San Diego one, but yeah. So this was honestly, like I said, San Diego again. They're proving me wrong every week, which I'm starting to like them a bit more too, to be honest with you, because they are just, again, they're proving me wrong. I'm not a hater that much. I'm a hater, but I'm not a hater that much, man. When someone is doing well, and I, I can't really argue it. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like they're not having good season. I'm not that much. I'm not delusional, or at least I try not to be. And I think that San Diego is proving me wrong right now, and we'll see how they do against really, really good top tier teams. But Ottawa's no slouch, but like I said, I personally still think I've still got my doubts about San Diego a little bit, but they are slowly coming to an end. Let's just put it that way. 2 more good weeks with them, and I'll be right on there. I'll be right on the bandwagon there. Okay, boys. So just keep proving me wrong. And there's a couple guys on that team I really do like. All right, next we got Buffalo versus Georgia, 15-11. And Buffalo, honestly, I watched this game and I found Buffalo was just the better team overall. It's the best way I can put it. Georgia looked young. Like I said, everything in the preseason, I pretty much said they looked young, they looked bigger, but they're young and inexperienced. Lyle was contained to a point, I think, this game. And Dane Smith really stepped up with 8 points overall. Matt Vince played well. There was a weird thing that happened here as well in this game. I thought it was weird. And from what I understand, even experienced guys have been in the league a long time. They've never even seen this, or have seen it once or something. Yeah, so the weird thing was, Dobson got a penalty, he had to serve it, so they had to bring their backup in. And from what I understand, I do kind of understand it, because he basically pushed Buffalo's player. I think he kind of tripped over him, and then he pushed him into the boards, and he hit hard. He was down for a minute. Luckily, I think everything's okay, but I do somewhat understand it. I don't know if I fully agree with it, to be honest with you. I think that he probably should have stayed in net and had a player serve a penalty for him if he needed it to happen. But I do understand he was out of the crease when he did it. I know a lot of people probably don't like that stuff, to be honest with you. But for me personally, I love the passion. Now, I don't want to see anybody get hurt, so I think it was maybe not the best thing. Just from the little bit I know about Dobson, just from seeing him on X and how he plays and all that stuff, that guy's got an attitude. That guy's got a chip on his shoulder. And he doesn't take shit from anybody. And, he's a goalie, man. Goalies aren't right in the head. No hate there. My brother was a goaltender growing up in hockey. Like one of my friends' kid's a goalie, but they're different people, man. They really are. And he's got a reputation out there. You don't fuck with him, bro. You don't fuck with Brett Dobson, or he's gonna defend himself, and even maybe go a little bit extra, be a little bit more aggressive, right? I'm sure at the end of the day, though, he wasn't intentionally trying to hurt anybody, right? It's sports, it gets intense, and that's just how how it goes sometimes. So yeah, like honestly, there was a couple back and forth. There was a couple back and forth times here where Georgia did go up, 15-11 for Buffalo, the win. Breakdown by quarter here was 5-4 for Buffalo over Georgia in the first. Then you had Georgia getting Buffalo 4-3, so we're tied going into half. Then you had Georgia only getting 1 to Buffalo's 4s in the third. And then finally, the quarter 4, you had Buffalo getting 3, Georgia getting 2. So they started to try to come back, but Buffalo in that third quarter, they really took it to the next step, and it was just a great game. Honestly, it really was. Pretty much everything you want in a game like that for sure. And we got to see Dane Smith play. Lyle, like I said, Lyle was held down this week, so I'm expecting big things out of him the next time he steps on that thing. Weird to see him without a braid. I know the announcers were kind of going on about that, but I have to agree with that. Hey, do what you want. Don't get me wrong. Lyle Thompson in the braid, I think, ever since I've been watching him, anytime I see clips, he always has his braid. So not sure really why he would have cut that, but there might be a reason that I'm just unaware of. So, hey, no hate there, man. Just I think we're going to see him. You won't. I can guarantee you one thing: we won't see 1 point out of Lyle Thompson next week. I'll tell you, or no, whenever he plays next. It'll be week 3, I think. So goals, we had top goal scorers were Shane Jackson and Dane Smith with 4 apiece, and then you had Michael Grace get 4 assists for Georgia, and Josh Byrne get 4. Dane Smith also had 4 assists. Then you had Shane Jackson with 8 points, Dane Smith with 8 points, obviously. Brett Dobson, 5 penalty minutes. Again, different structure there. Definitely interesting. Then you have shots on goal. Lyle still had 8 shots on goal for the most on Georgia. Then you had Ian McKay with 13. So Ian McKay, I've seen him a lot out there. He was doing a lot out there. Lyle Thompson, loose ball, 12 pickups. So that's what, again, you don't see these superstars, minus Lyle, with the loose ball stats. So even though he's so good offensively, so good, so gifted, he's also gritty. And when you're playing against a team like Buffalo, you got to go be that workhorse, and Lyle's got a lot on him with this team. So love you, Lyle. Think you're the best player in the world, hands down. And I have no doubts you're going to be killing it. So I'm a bit of a Lyle Thompson glazer. I know you can call me that all you want, but I do think he's the best player in the world, and I just really do. But he's starting to get up there. As long as he can play, he'll play, I think. So you got goals allowed. You have Brett Dobson with 13, Matt Vince with 11. Brett Dobson had 39 saves. Matt Vince had 32. So again, overall, pretty good. Over 50 shots for Brett Dobson against a strong Buffalo team. Like, you can only expect so much out of that. Let's run through this. So like I said, Lyle Thompson was held to 1 point. Ben Trumbull got 2 points at his first goal and an assist. Who else got? There's a couple 1-goal scorers here. You got Shane Jackson with 4 goals and 2 assists, really helping lead Georgia. You had Michael Grace with 4 assists, which is massive. You have Caleb Benedict with 2 goals, 3 assists, so 5 points. And then, so that was big on Georgia there. Buffalo, you have Nanakoke with 2 goals and an assist. You have Ian McKay with 2 goals with a team leading shot total of 13. You have Dylan Robinson with a goal, Mitch DeSnew with 2 points and 1 goal, Ryan Benish with a goal and an assist, which everyone's freaking out because he was on the practice roster, which obviously that didn't last long. Nick Weiss with 3 assists, Josh Byrne with 2 goals and 4 assists, Steven Priolo with a goal and an assist. You got Kyle Buchanan with a goal and 2 assists, and then you got Dane Smith, 4 goals, 4 assists, and Matt Vince obviously having a great night as well. 32 saves, and realistically, they just need Matt Vince to be Matt Vince, and you can never count Buffalo out. I'm telling you that right now. You can never count Buffalo out the way it goes. So Brett Dobson, 76-2 is not good enough. I'm sorry, Brett. I love you, but it's not good enough. You need to be better in order to if you want to be an elite goalie in this league. Right now, it's not a bad stat, don't get me wrong, but it's not elite status. And I think Brett Dobson has the potential to be elite, but I can tell you, if you look at his box numbers, it doesn't say elite goalie. The numbers don't anyway. I think there's potential there, and I'm not saying by any means it's all his fault. Because goaltending and keeping the ball out of your net is a whole team effort. But when you're looking at just pure numbers, you have to be at that 78, 79 save percentage. Speaking of, Matt Vince, 42 saves on 53 shots, is 79 is 79.2% save percentage, so almost an 80, and that's where you need to be if you're going to want to be the elite goalie in the league. That's where you need to at least be. Don't mean to hate on Brett by any means. Great, I think he's a great guy, great goaltender, and if he sees this, he's probably going to rip me apart. So no hard feelings, Brett. I'm just going by the numbers, buddy. Okay, so Georgia, the rookies were really good for them, and this is why I'm thinking you're going to see Lyle kind of get traded somewhere. Now, after talking to Jake last week, I can understand why somebody wouldn't want to give up a big amount for him. This is where I, as a fan, sometimes, dream a little bit too big, maybe. But I do see Lyle going somewhere to give a team that playoff push. Buffalo, especially, is kind of interesting to me. If they need another really good scorer, and, they've already won a couple Man Cups together, why wouldn't you bring Lyle over to Buffalo to try to go for that 4P? Them and Halifax, to me, are the only two teams that make sense on trying to swing for a Lyle trade this year, because at the end of the day, he is going to be a free agent at the end of the season. So, all right, so let's go into the Colorado Mammoth game now, okay? Now, here is the upset of the week for sure, guys. This was, now, it's funny because I was really low on Colorado before the season started, right? Before the preseason started, I should say. Really low on Colorado, okay? I didn't think they were going to be good. I think I was calling them 6 for 10. Or 6 for 12, right? 6 wins, all that stuff. After preseason, I ranked them for my final prediction. I think I had them at 10 and 8 for their thing. It's still going to be a tight season for them. They beat Vancouver, guys. Like, that's not a game that I don't think anybody had penciled in for them to win. So the fact that they did. Now, what did they do well? Well, in my opinion, they smother their opponents. They're hard to score against. They're hard to get off of you. Dylan Ward is a top 5 goalie. I'm going to be already eating my words about him because he's going to, he's a top 5 goalie of all time. And I was saying, I don't think he's going to be a top 5 goalie in the league this year. Boy, was I wrong. He might be the goalie in the league this year. He had a goalie battle against Del Bianco. And man, I'm telling you, like, Dylan Ward, man, Nathan Whittam, a lot of people have been calling him out. I'm a big fan of him, obviously, as well. And I think it's frustrating for Whittam. And this is just my own thing. I'm not, nobody's told me this. Let's just put it that way, right? This is my own, what I'm piecing together. 21-year-old kid, still young. And I do think that he's probably getting a little impatient being a backup because he is so good. To me, I think he's ready to go. After watching the preseason, I would personally really do think he could be a starter in this league. However, with me saying that, Dylan Ward is on the end of his career. He signed a 2-year deal, so he's got 2 years left. That's going to put Whittam at 23. Would it be better for his career and his long term in the team if he was to be handed the torch from Dylan Ward, serve under him the next 2 years, along with the time he's already spent there, and learn everything there is to do with Dylan Ward and how he is the greatest? You're mentoring under a goalie that is a top 5 goalie of all time. You can't tell me that is not valuable time. So to me, as much as I think Nathan Whittam would be an amazing starting goaltender for a team like Halifax, for a team like Las Vegas, but I think Con, by the sounds of things, is going to be Vegas' future anyway. And if he gets in there this year, 18-year-old goalie in the NLL, you don't see that too often, but super impressive. So realistically, I think Nathan's best option would be to kind of stay. Hopefully you get a couple, you do get some playing time, hopefully this season. If Ward wants to rest, or if, you guys get up a lot, hopefully you guys do get some time. I do think that there is, like I said, he's a fantastic goalie. I just think, Ward is the veteran. He's won, 2 championships since 2018. And I just, you can't turn your back on him without some crazy stuff. So, and even the GM has come out and straight up said, like, he's the guy, he's our guy. But Whittam, be patient, you're gonna get there, buddy. So let's get right into this. So Colorado beat Vancouver 10-7. Like I said, an upset. Nobody was really expecting that. This Vancouver team was supposed to be, and this is what I said too, honestly. Like I said, I was hyped on this team. Now, after preseason, I kind of dropped them a little bit, and now they're down. I did still think they were going to win this game, though. I will say that. And I still, even with me saying that, I still thought Colorado would end up 10-8. That's why it's interesting to see, Colorado, if they can keep playing like this, they might be at the top of the league at the end of this year. Who knows? So it's only week 1. We've got lots of time left, so we'll see. Don't want to get too crazy yet off one win. But I can tell you right now that, like I said, I think we have a bunch of stars that haven't figured out how to mesh together yet. Because there's a lot of good talent on that team, and They just don't know how to. It doesn't seem like they can get it going. Now, like I said, Dylan Ward, fantastic game. The defense, fantastic job. But when you're supposed to be the cream of the crop, that's the top offense by far, everyone's praising you as. Now, I'm sure it's all noise to these guys and to Vancouver, but guess what? You got to play Vegas next time. You got to play Vegas in week 3, and they're coming off. That's their opener. Like that's their. I don't think they're. I think it might be their opener actually. I got to double check that. But you might be 0-2. Vancouver, a team that I even thought it'll be hard to get 4 losses this year, might start the season 0-2. So again, we're not going to start panicking yet. I still think Vancouver's a great team. I still think they're in that cream of the crop, top 4, even top 2 possible teams. I think top 4 is more fitting for them now. But man, it's going to be scary. And what we'll talk about this more as the season goes on. At what point do you start being like, man, something's got to give here? So again, only 1 week. I want to shout that from the rooftops right now, boys. It's only 1 week, okay? So if you're a Vancouver fan, don't get too hung up on it. That might be the kick in the ass they need to get out there and get some goals. So we'll see what happens. Vegas could be that team that they can really expose. Colorado's a better defensive team than Vegas by a lot. So, they're going to probably get more of those breakaway goals because that's the thing. I find that Vancouver, the way that they play for like an on the rush kind of style of lacrosse that they're going to score as they're coming up, where a team like Colorado seems like they more like to set in there and, move the ball around a little bit. So, whereas, like I said, Vancouver just seems like a run and gun kind of team, which when you do have a big night that way, you're going to have a big night this way. Couple really big nights. Will Malcolm, man. Holy cow. 6 goals, a sock jerk, opening night, young kid overall. He was just everywhere, dude. I think he had 8 points total. He was offensively a massive reason why these guys won. And it was just huge, right? So just wanted to throw in that in there as well. So here's the quarter by quarter breakdown here. You got Colorado Mammoth scoring the opening goal, 2 apiece in the second quarter. So we went to half a 3-2. And even the intermission guys, Jake was even saying, wow, I thought it was going to be somewhat of a goalie battle, somewhat of a low scoring game, but I didn't even see it being that low scoring. And I have to say the same thing. I mean, I thought it was going to be a goalie battle. I said that. We've seen that in preseason as well against these two teams. But even then, it was still interesting to see only 3 goals in the first, 3 goals on Colorado side and 2 goals. So 5 goals total in the first half. Second half was a lot more high scoring. You had 5 goals for Colorado to Vancouver's 3 in the third. They came out a lot stronger in the third. I think they had their confidence built up. And then fourth quarter, Colorado did a fantastic job locking them down. 2 goals apiece. Colorado converted 2 out of 7 times on the power play. Vancouver was a 50%, 4 out of 8. So their power play is looking really good. Colorado had 16 penalty minutes. Vancouver had 14. You had 16 for 20 faceoffs by Colorado, man. That's insane, dude. Then you have Vancouver Warriors with 4 for 20. 420 if you know what you know. But like shots on goal were 46-44 in Colorado's favor. Dude, people are sleeping on Colorado. I'm not. And this team, to me, I don't know if it's because they're proving me wrong or I don't know what it is, but I love their swagger. This is the team that feels like right now how Albany did for me last year, where I was like, I'm getting pulled toward this team. So Colorado, you might have a new fan on your fan base if you can keep pulling me in like this. I really love your team. I really love Dylan Ward now. I really love I love Nathan Whittam, the backup. So I'm like, that's an investment for me long term if he stays there. I think Hugh's a great player. Will Malcolm's awesome to watch. All this kind of stuff. So I think that'd be super cool to become a fan. And they're far enough away where it's an excuse to go to a trip to see Colorado. So am I going to become a Mammoth fan? I don't know. That's what I kept saying this weekend. Am I becoming a Mammoth fan? I don't know, guys. So anyway, we'll see. Ryan Lee for 8 assists. 8 assists for Keegan Ball as well. You got 8 points for Will Malcolm total, and you got 7 points. How does that make any sense? I'm sorry. Keegan Ball was 6 assists, not 8. My bad. My reading, or my eyes, I guess. Same as Ryan Lee was 6. My bad. 6 apiece. Will Malcolm had 6 goals. Sorry. Charlotte Beatties had 2. You had Will Malcolm with 8 points total and 7 points total for Keegan Ball. So a goal and 6 assists for Keegan Ball. Keegan Ball, like I said at the beginning of the season, I think that he's going to be the best. He's going to be the highest point getter out of the whole team there, out of all those forwards that they have. You've got 13 shots on goal by Will Malcolm, which is no surprise there. And then you got Jesse King had 9 shots on goal. 11 loose balls by Matthew Pelado out of Colorado. And you had 8 by Reed Bowring. Christian let in 10 goals, which I mean still is pretty low, honestly. Like, let's be real. You let 10 goals in, that's kind of like where I say, okay, that's still a good night, right? That's still not a bad night. Now, Dylan Ward had an amazing night with 7 goals let in, and Dylan Ward had 37 saves, and Christian had 36. So Christian was a busier goalie there, for sure. And then we had, so like I said, we'll go over the stats real quick. So we had 6 goals, 2 assists by Will Malcolm, a number 1 star for sure. Ryan Lee had a goal. You had Andrew Q with 2 goals, 5 assists. So again, those two are going to really lead the offense. It's looking like this year. It's going to be those two. Dylan Mikitosh with a goal and assist. He's actually pretty good too. No jokes. Then you had obviously Whittam was there on the bench. Dylan Ward with the big nights on that end. And for the Warriors, you had Adam Charlambides with 2 goals and an assist. You had Claridge with two assists. You had Chris Dixon with 2 goals and assists. You had Jesse King with a goal and 3 assists. You had Keegan Ball with a goal and 6 assists. And then you had Ryan Sheridan with a goal and an assist. And like I said, Del Bianco, he had 36 saves and 10 goals allowed. So I mean, definitely not any slouch of a night. Overall, pretty good overall in my opinion. So Dylan Ward had an .863 save percentage, massive night. And even to Christian's, honestly, 778 is still not a bad thing. Is it below average for him? Absolutely. You've seen this in the first game in the preseason. Like for a normal goalie, that's not that bad. For Christian, that's under. That's definitely like if you would have switched these, I wouldn't have been surprised. Let's just put it that way, right? That would have been more. So nothing. Shout out to Dylan Ward, man. Just absolutely outplaying, in my opinion, in most people's opinions, what they were saying was the best box goalie in the world. And like again, I take one game. Let's see a whole season. Let's halfway through if Christian's still at a 77, which again isn't a bad numbers for a goalie, but they're not elite. They're not elite numbers. You need to be over that 79.5 save percentage to be elite, in my opinion. So there you have it, guys. That is the weekly recap. And, I did a pretty in-depth one there. That's kind of what this is going to be these weeks. I'm going to do one recap episode and one preview episode. And I think that's kind of the best way to structure these. Please let me know if you like this style, if you like this long in-depth. I can go through it a lot faster, but I watch every game. I watched all 4 games. I rewatched the Buffalo game, right? Because I had it on in the background. Paid more attention to the Ottawa San Diego game, and then watched the Buffalo Georgia game again after. But I'm in love with this sport. I'm going to be watching every single NLL game this year. So you guys let me know what you think about this stuff, man. Like I said, I can speed this up, but the thing is what I like to do, and what I found has made my content well, is deep dives into whether that be history or whatever. These deep dives are really where I like to do it. If there's anything I didn't share with you that you want as well, please let me know. We can go deeper. I pretty much went through all the stats though, so you guys let me know what you think. I'm open to bringing content that you guys want. So anyway, this is how my structure is going to be though. Like I said, a recap of the weekend, episodes released Monday, and then on Thursday it'll be a preview of that week as well. And so good times. Anyway, we have a couple more things I want to talk about here that happened this weekend. So first thing let's talk about is the new replay system. Now, I know I touched on this when I was going through all the games and stuff. Toronto, this was a big one. First goal of the season was reviewed, and it was a lengthy review because of what happened. That toe was barely on that line, okay? Now, I say that right away because how it happened is, that would have probably been called a goal if we didn't have the replay system because it was so tight that I think they would have had to call it a goal. Now, his foot was on the line, right? After all those angles, there's no denying that. Now, I thought I seen even from the top, it looked like there was a little bit of green there, but they see it from a bunch of different angles, and I know that these refs are trying to get these calls right. I have more faith in the NLL refs than I do in any other league that I watch. So that should say a lot, okay? I do really enjoy it. There's obviously going to be missed calls, but they are reviewed after. After the game, they look them over. They get sent to the referee. I love that. I know I rip on the league a lot. Okay, I want to say something nice before I go into ripping on the league here a little bit, but so this is the nice thing I'm going to say. Their ref training, their standard for refereeing, I think is the best in the whole, in any league. I really do. I could be wrong about that, right? This isn't a topic I'm super knowledgeable in. I will admit to that. But I can tell you between NHL refs and the NLL refs, night and day. Way, way better, okay? And, I think they do a good job. So shout out to the refs out there because they have a hard job. Now, let's get into a little bit of criticism because, it wouldn't be an episode without me criticizing the league. So, again, now, I had guys in the Discord that were watching this on TSN Plus. They had commercials, okay? They had something going on. NLL Plus, they had some stuff. I will say you had a little bit of intermission stuff. Not enough. I was looking at a black screen for a lot of it. Unacceptable, league. I'm sorry. Okay? Get a commercial on there. You guys are talking about money. You're saying, oh, we don't make money as the owners. Not all the owners make money. Well, I got news for you. Commercials is going to bring in money. Okay? You can't tell me that there's nobody that wants to be on there. And if there isn't, can I rent space? Can you give it to me cheap? Because there's nothing on there anyway, right? And like I said, I'll come do it for free, honestly. But my point is that let me come on there and talk about the game, or let somebody else more knowledgeable and maybe more like media ready go on there and talk about the game. It doesn't have to be Jake. I understand he probably wants the break himself. He's talking the whole time. I get that, right? The announcers, I get they want a break during this time. Put somebody else in there. Get a panel like they do in hockey, okay? More entertaining guys, but get a panel and mix it up. Mix it up when you get the panel. Put someone like me, a fan, on there, right? Michael Kervelis, right? Put him on there as a panel member. Then have a former player like Frick as a panel member. Then have an insider as a panel member. Austin Nielsen, right? Perfect little spot for him. And then a fourth guy that's like that's like the show, and Jumbo would be a good guy at that, to be honest with you. Jumbo, that's a perfect spot for Jumbo, but I don't know if he would be interested in that. But I think setting up a panel like that you could have on during intermission time, during commercial breaks, during all that stuff, and maybe it's not Jumbo because he's already doing the games, but somebody, I'll do it. Hey, I'll do it. I enjoy interviewing people and leading the direction of that. But that's where I think that it needs to go. And you have a black screen up there. There's a lot of missed opportunity. So that's my critique for this episode of the league. Nothing personal. I love you guys. I think you're doing a lot of things that are really good. But as a fan that's sitting there watching the game, consuming it from a fan's point of view, this is my perspective. And I think if you asked other fans, they would agree with you. The problem with this sport, and nothing against these guys, these media trained people, or these former players, no hate on these guys at all. I'm a pure fan, okay? I don't have this other shit. I watch other sports as well, so I know what's good and what works and what doesn't work. And I could tell you right now that with the right guys as a panel talking at intermission, it's the right move, okay? So that's anyway. Love you, league. I know, my voice is starting to get out there a little bit more, so I hope this gets to the league. But at the end of the day, I do really appreciate everything they are doing, but they could be better. And I'm open. My DMs are open. Please send me. I'll send you some ideas to your marketing team. No problem. I'll tell you what I think is missing in this league. And I'm just one fan's opinion, but I do think I bring a unique perspective to this sport. Anyway, we'll move on from that. Thank you very much. And criticism's good, man. It helps everyone grow. So yeah, I can't wait. But overall, production of the games are great. Great quality of the games is really great. The announcers, personally, my opinion, I think we have some of the best announcers in the world in lacrosse. I think that they have some of the best broadcasters. Teddy and Pat do an amazing job on Friday nights. We've got Jake over there. We've got a lot of other guys as well. Don't get me wrong, that I'm done forgetting about right now. To be honest with you, I'm not super vast with everybody's names yet, so I do apologize. I will get there, but I do know a lot of them, and I do know a good handful of them, and I can tell you the ones that I know and everybody that I listen to, I thought did a good job. Another thing that I want to shout out to the league, and I know Lucas Arger is very big on this. He's talked about this. I think that it's great that they have more women in this game. Lucas Arger brought up a good point when he was on this show. He's very big on, Mackie Jenner and all that stuff. And I am. She's a fantastic announcer. And there are some really good announcers. I can't remember the other girl right now. Ashley Dixon, I think her name is. Another good, super knowledgeable about lacrosse, okay? And I know I've seen another woman on there this weekend. another female that was really good. Every woman that's been on so far that I've seen has been great at her job, which I can't say the same thing when I'm talking about hockey. I think this is sometimes boring, but I think a lot of those hockey announcers in general are overly boring. As long as you can get in there and you can talk about the sport that I love, which is lacrosse, or whatever sport you're on, but in this case, it's lacrosse, and you do a damn good job, I applaud that. I think that you should do the job. I don't think that it should matter if you're a man or a woman. If you're good at your job, you should do it. I think it's great for the sport to get mixed genders in here, different perspectives. I'm a fan perspective. Get some media trained people in there, get some fans. I think it'd be awesome to see. I know there's one girl on TikTok that I follow. She's like me, makes content for the women's lacrosse. It's a completely different game, like everybody says, and it's entertaining. Equal opportunity for everybody is I'm all for that. And I do think getting women involved also really helps grow the sport for women and for men, to be honest with you. Because like I said, everyone's got a unique perspective. And Mackie is a fantastic example of what a woman announcer should be and what people should aspire to be as a woman announcer or as an announcer in general. Let's get the woman part out of this. People should aspire. Anybody going to try to be a broadcaster should look at Mackie and look and say, wow, man, like what can I take from her? Because she is really good at her job, but she's knowledgeable. She plays, she coaches, she announces, she's right in this space. So she's more knowledgeable than probably 95% of lacrosse fans, including myself. She knows more than me. Now, one more thing I want to talk about here. Another thing is Alex Simmons' post-game interview. Now, if you guys remember, and if you don't, go check it out. I had Mr. Elliot Frickman on, Ryan McMichael, former NLL player, right? Coaches at a high level, all this stuff. And one of the questions I asked him was like, do you find players, play harder going against certain teams? Is there that rivalry? And he said no. He doesn't think it is. He doesn't think like a player like Dane Smith would. He doesn't think a player like Dane Smith would care if they're playing Toronto compared to playing Georgia, kind of deal, right? He's going to go out and beat Dane Smith, all that stuff. Well, I can tell you, Alex Simmons doesn't feel that way. I guarantee you that. Because guess what? When you talk shit, like Alex Simmons did at the end of that game, which I absolutely loved, by the way. Alex Simmons might be my new favorite player. You are going to have to answer that next game. Like, if I see Alex Simmons get into a scrap next game, not going to be surprised when they play Toronto, okay? When you see a harder-hitting game next time when they play Toronto, not going to be surprised. I'm expecting a clapback from Toronto as well. I'm hoping for it, because this is the thing. Alex Simmons might have figured this out, but a lot of these players haven't figured it out. They don't get the power of social media. You create that rivalry, you create that animosity, you create that stuff, and you've got people who want to go watch this play out. They either want to watch you fail or they want to watch you be right. They hate each other, or not hate each other, but they got that city to city rivalry. Oshawa's got that animosity towards Toronto and all this different stuff. So, and I think Toronto was actually one of the only teams that voted against them going to Oshawa. So I think it was them in Georgia. But anyway, it will be interesting to see what happens when the next time Toronto Oshawa plays. And I'm excited to see it all day. Alex Simmons, hats off to you, sir. You, sir, are a G. You, sir, are the player I want in this league. And dude, you should be the face of Oshawa after that interview, in my opinion. So love you, sir. And I'm going to probably clip this and send this to you because you're hilarious, brother. Anyway. All right. So now I'm going to start something this week and we're going to add this to the weekly recap episode. We've got player of the week. Okay. Anything Lacrosse's player of the week is Will Malcolm with 6 goals, 8 points. Really carried the team on his back offensively. Now, Q obviously had 5 assists. Good game. There are a few other guys in there, don't get me wrong. But overall, you wouldn't have won this game without Will Malcolm. Such a young guy, such an awesome player. I would love to have him on the show eventually, and we'll see if that can happen. Definitely trying to get trying to get some players on the show. It's one of the things. I'm doing good with the media guys, but I got to get some players on the show. A player of Will Malcolm's caliber is just, how could you not want to be on that, right? And so, yeah. So anyway, he wins player of the week, and I don't think there's too much of an argument with that. He really did. He was a difference maker. Him and Ward were the difference makers for Colorado and the Colorado defense as well overall. And then you got goalie of the week. Goalie of the week, man. This could have been Jameson. Jameson had an amazing week. I want to give him a shout out big time, but I'm going to give it to Dylan Ward. Upset of the week, 86 save percentage. Just getting peppered, showing why he's still a top level goaltender in this league. And we're going to see massive things out of him. So, it doesn't make it's no big deal. Or like honestly to him, the fact that he did that to Vancouver, Saskatchewan can put up on him maybe, Halifax, Buffalo, but we're gonna see. He might be. You might see him have a career year this year. Honestly, again, one week. Calm down. Not a Colorado fan yet. But anyway, Dylan Moore wins the goaltender rookie of the week for the Anything Lacrosse. Anything Lacrosse goalie of the week goes to Dylan Ward. Okay. Next we have rookie of the week. So the Anything Lacrosse rookie of the week goes to Sam English. Sam English had a goal. He had over 10 loose balls. He had four caused turnovers, and he honestly was like 29th, tied for 29th for rookie defense or for defensemen to do that in their first game or something like that. Just absolutely fantastic. I watched Sam and Ty play in the sixes, and I thought they were both games. I thought they were the second best player on the field next to Hilt or next to Kirst, whoever was there at the weekend. And I'm talking, the funniest thing is Ty and Sam. Ty is a top level player, just like Sam. So not only they've got another one coming. Okay. So just imagine how good Sam is. You're going to see a similar thing out of Ty, and Toronto is going to be scary for the next long time to come with these guys. Toronto. DJ Kurse obviously could have made him rookie of the week. He had an amazing week himself. Should have probably had the hat trick. Almost. Georgia rookies as well were really, really strong overall. That was a good one. And then finally, I wanted to give out the defensive player of the week. The Anything Lacrosse defensive player of the week is Kyle Rubish. He honestly just had a fantastic game all around and really helped that back end and held Toronto out. He was a massive reason that he might not have had any points, but I can tell you he had a lot of other main stats that really made up for it. So he did absolutely fantastic this week, and he was a key addition, and he's going to be a big piece on why this team makes the next level. I don't think without him this season, I don't think they would have won this game, but I don't think they would be as good as they're going to end up. So anyway, that wraps up pretty much episode 16 right there, right? We went through a lot. I went through a super in-depth dive into this stuff. Let me know what you guys think about this again, as I was saying before. First week of the NLL action is officially over, and we had an amazing first week. That's special. Week 2 is only 2 games, but we're going to make them count. We're going live at Halifax game. We'll be there, and I can't wait. That's going to be a sick time. Then you've also got, I just want to say a huge shout out to anybody that is still watching, anybody supporting the show. Go follow all the socials. Mostly it's the Anything Lacrosse Show on most social channels. On TikTok, my OG, it's just Anything Lacrosse. And just look it up and you can pretty much find me anywhere. DM me. My DMs are always open. Comment on stuff you want on the show, because that's how things get on the show. Okay. I'm open to pretty much any ideas, and always kind of, always trying to make the show better. So again, go check out the merch store if you can. Again, I don't have any sponsors on this. I do this all out of my own time, but I love it. It's a weird thing. Again, don't feel obligated to buy anything, but if you're looking for a cool hat or a sweater or a t-shirt, go check it out, right? Like I said, all that money is going to go towards buying my son's jerseys come the springtime. So that's my goal. $2,000 is my goal, and that's what I'm going to do. And the more I buy, the more I can hopefully bring those prices down a little bit as well. We'll see about that though. I got to see how all the margins work and all that stuff, but I'm not really trying to make a lot of money off this stuff. I'm more just trying to, make a little bit here and there, get the brand out there, and get lacrosse spread, because it is a really cool brand, right? I love it. I don't have my hoodie on right this second, but it's such a cool little logo in my opinion. I worked really hard on it too. So anyway, that's my little tangent. Season's heating up already. Storylines are starting to build. With the Vancouver, especially if they lose again. I'm all about storylines, so I think it'd be hilarious to watch the turmoil that would be going on in Vancouver if they pull off a loss against the Desert Dogs, which Desert Dogs gonna be rested, ready to go. So Vancouver though, but they're gonna be rested, ready to go, and they have a lot of guys that are young, hungry, and they got shit to prove. Fraser wants to show that he's the number one guy, and he's going to have that opportunity come going into Vancouver. So we'll see. I can't wait. It's going to be awesome. Can't wait for week 2. And I'll probably be watching these games all over again just to hold me off till then. So with that all being said, I love you guys. Thank you for being here. My name is My name is Jake McDonald. I am Anything Lacrosse, and this is the game that never sits still. As always, go check out the Discords, all that stuff, but we'll talk to you guys on the next one. Thanks for coming.